Hello and welcome back to Universal Recaps. Today, I'm here to introduce a 2009 horror and mystery film titled Orphan. Kate and her husband John enter a hospital as Kate goes into labor. She's taken into the operating room, leaving John to complete the paperwork. Suddenly, Kate experiences heavy bleeding. In the operating room, she awakens, surrounded by medical staff, but her husband is absent. The situation is very terrifying for her. The nurse delivers the devastating news that her baby didn't survive. Kate is in disbelief. When John finally arrives, he strangely begins filming the birth as if nothing is missing. The nurse hands Kate the baby and she screams to Max. Suddenly, she wakes up in her own bed. In the real world, Kate gets out of bed and checks her belly, noticing the scar. She takes a tablet as part of her routine. The following day, Kate attends a psychotherapy session with Dr. Brown. The doctor explains that such nightmares are a typical response to the trauma of a stillbirth. Kate asks whether the nightmare was related to that event or the dark fact that she could not give birth again. The doctor recommends adoption. She questions her mental health stability for adoption. Regarding adoption, the therapist advises Kate that the ultimate decision lies in her hands for adoption. Later, Kate picks up her deaf daughter, Max, from school. While driving her home, she becomes distracted at a stoplight, nearly causing a big accident. Later, Kate is shown playing the piano and composing music. She becomes very annoyed by a disruptive noise and steps outside, only to discover Max bouncing a basketball against the wall. She scolds Max to stop the basketball playing and the child softly apologizes. John returns home with their son, Daniel, and the three of them playfully engage with the basketball. That night, as Kate takes Max into bed, her daughter asks her to read a story, and it happens to be about the child who passed away. Max inquires if she'll have a new sister. Before going to bed herself, Kate takes another tab. Climbing into bed with John, they discuss the adoption. Kate has reached a decision, and they agree to proceed with it. Sometime later, they are seen arriving at an orphanage. Sister Abigail greets them and encourages them to explore. Kate stays on the first floor, observing the little girls at play, while John goes upstairs. He is drawn to a girl singing and enters the room where Esther is painting. Esther shares a great story about her painting, and as Kate and Abigail enter the room, John introduces them. Esther expresses her loneliness, as no one has spoken to her due to her being different. They seem to like her and discuss adopting Esther. Abigail reveals that Esther is originally from Russia and that the person who brought her to the US died in a house fire. Despite this tragic history, Abigail believes Esther is wonderful, and Kate agrees. 3 weeks later, they pick Esther up from the orphanage and afternoon to Abigail. During the car ride, Kate teaches Esther sign language. Upon arriving home, Max is thrilled to see them. Esther introduces herself to Max immediately and asks Kate about her hearing. Kate explains that she can hear enough to read people's lips. Inside the house, they are welcomed by Grandma Barbara and Daniel. That night, they give Esther welcome gifts, except Daniel, who appears jealous of the girl, especially when she gives John a heartfelt thank you hug. Daniel goes outside to the treehouse with his friends, where they look at amazing magazines. Meanwhile, Esther and Max enjoy playing in the snow. As a storm brews that night, Kate prepares for bed. Esther wakes up and goes to Max's room. John and Kate are intimate when there's a knock at the door, and the two girls ask if they can sleep in their bed. Esther expresses her desire to sleep next to John. The following morning, as they prepare to leave for school, Esther comes in an elegant dress, making other children laugh. Kate checks with Esther if she truly wants to wear the dress to school, and Esther confidently responds that there's nothing wrong with being different. Kate accepts her words. Later, in her classroom, Esther is welcomed by her teacher, but one of the children taunts her. On a particular day, Max and Esther go onto the frozen lake to play, prompting Kate to rush out and loudly inform them that it is not allowed. Meanwhile, Daniel engaged in a paintball game but ended up shooting a bird. Esther and Max approached him, finding him quite upset for the bird. Esther handed him a large rock, suggesting that he use it to put the wounded bird out of its pain. Hesitant, Daniel couldn't bring himself to do it, so Esther took it upon herself to end the bird's suffering. Later, Esther took a bath while Kate entered her room to put away laundry. During her search, Kate finds an old Bible hidden in a drawer. Esther watches her from the bathroom, observing Kate as she finds a photo of a man inside the Bible. At school, Daniel faced funny jokes from his friends due to Esther, and in frustration, he knocked over her books. As she went to retrieve them, a classmate found her Bible, and in their struggle for it, the book fell to the ground. Esther picked it up, but the girl reached for her neckhook, insulting her as a doggy, causing Esther to scream out loud. Back at home, Kate attempted to teach Esther how to play the piano and then inquired about the incident at school, but Esther refused to discuss it. Kate presented her with a scrapbook she had started for her, and, in response to Esther's inquiry, asking the story of the baby she had lost, Kate showed her the roses which they had scattered the ashes under. After dinner, Kate and John believed the children were asleep and began to be intimate in the kitchen, only for Esther to suddenly appear. The following morning, Kate approached Esther to discuss the previous night's night's incident. Esther, unamazed, continues painting and tells her that she knows about intimacy. Kate talked to John about it later, suggesting they take Esther to a therapist. John, on the other hand, believed it was an overreaction to seek therapy. John took the girls to a park where one of his neighbors flirted with him while Esther's bully also showed up at the playground. Esther divided her attention between the neighbor and the interaction between John and the neighbor. Strangely, the bully appeared to be fearful of Esther and watched out for her as she went to play in the castle. When she attempted to use the slide, Esther pushed her abruptly, resulting in her broken leg. Max witnessed the incident done by Esther. At dinner that evening, John talks to Esther about the incident, but Max confirms Esther's story that the girl had slipped. Before the meal, Esther recited a prayer, and Max did the same, displaying her perfection in sign language, which was greater than Daniel's. Daniel, in a fit of jealousy, began taunting her and calling her names, leading their parents to intervene in between. He stormed off, angry and cursing, prompting John to put a lock on his treehouse as a punishment. Later, while Kate was shopping with the girls and Sister Abigail called her, Esther refused to speak to her, but Kate continued the conversation. She stepped aside to privately inform Sister Abigail about everything that had been happening. While beside the table, Max read her lips and relayed the conversation to Esther. That night, Esther surprised Kate by playing the piano perfect. Kate questioned why Esther had pretended not to know how to play, and Esther replied that she had done it for Kate's benefit. That fateful night, Kate and John engaged in a heated argument about Esther, and their disagreement escalated dramatically. Esther overheard their argument from the other room and was filled with anger. On another day, Sister Abigail visited their home and expressed concerns about Esther's behavior, listing past incidents such as her harming other children. Esther overhears this conversation as well and immediately rushes out to Max, requesting her to help so that the old lady won't take her away. Kate considered Sister Abigail's words and suggested taking Esther to a therapist, a proposal to which John eventually agreed after an argument. In the middle of this, Esther manipulates Max into finding the keys to the treehouse, but instead of using them for their intended purpose, she retrieves a gun from John's safe. Esther removed the bullets, leaving only one inside, and aimed the weapon at Max. Horrifying. Subsequently, Esther agrees for Max to go with her to a bridge, claiming they would scare Sister Abigail away and then she will not return ever. As Sister Abigail's car approached, Esther pushed Max onto the road, narrowly avoiding a collision which resulted in a car crash. Sister found Max crying and Esther attacked Sister Abigail with a hammer. She instructed Max to help move the injured woman out of sight, eventually finishing her off with the hammer and throwing her down the hills. The two girls then hide the evidence in the treehouse, including Esther's bloody clothing and the murder weapon. Esther threatened Max that they could both face consequences for their actions and would be sent to jail if caught by the cops. Daniel watches everything. That night, Esther threatens Daniel in his room with a sharp blade and warns him not to speak of what he had witnessed. Terrified, Daniel urinated in fear. Kate and John subsequently took Esther to see Dr. Brown, who discussed Esther's behavior with them as she waited outside. Dr. Browning asserted that there was nothing wrong with Esther, placing the blame on Kate and suggesting that Kate's insecurities as a mother were the root of the issue. John agreed with this perspective. Upon their return home, Kate received a call from the orphanage informing her that Sister Abigail had not returned since the previous day. The police launched an investigation and discovered Sister Abigail's body at the location where Esther had left it. A police officer informed Kate and John that there were no suspects in the case. Esther continued her dark activities, switching the light of her aquarium on and off while displaying a disturbing painting of their family home burning. Kate, concerned about Esther's true nature, conducted online research on disturbed children and shared her findings with John. However, he continued to dismiss her concerns. Kate decided to discontinue her therapy with Dr. Brown and is now more concerned about Esther's background. She attempted to contact the orphanage in Russia where Esther supposedly came from, but there were no records of her before she arrived in the United States. This seemed strange to her. One day, John woke Esther up to take her to the dentist, but she refused to go, so he promised to reschedule. Instead, they spent the day painting together, during which Esther confided in John that she believed Kate didn't like her. Meanwhile, Kate drove the other children to school and questioned them about Esther's behavior. They lied, claiming that she had never done anything wrong. That night, Esther approached Kate in the kitchen, presenting her with a gift of white roses picked from the spot where Kate's daughter's ashes had been scattered. Kate reacted with distress and grabbed Esther, but John intervened, taking responsibility for the incident. On that same night, Esther went to the garage and intentionally broke her own hand. While Esther cries into bed, John discovers her broken hand and pale fingers. When Kate entered the room, John confronted her, but Kate denied grabbing Esther that forcefully. Later, Kate went to a drug liquor store, purchased 2 wine bottles, and got drunk heavily. She poured the remainder of the open wine bottle down the drain. The following morning, Kate drove the children to school. As Daniel leaves, the car in his bag is ripped. Kate goes to assist him with the fallen books. Esther seized the opportunity to put the car in drive with Max still inside. Kate chased after the moving car until it was stopped by a snowbank. That night Dr. Browning visited their home and Kate swore that she had put the car in brakes and that Max was covering for Esther's ass. John revealed a second wine bottle which Esther had found. Dr. Browning informed Kate that she had reserved a place for her in the hospital for a speedy recovery. But Kate explained her side of the story regarding the wine, an explanation that was unbelieved by both of them. John suspected Kate of being manipulative and gave her 2 weeks to attend the therapy sessions, threatening to leave and take the children with him if she didn't comply. Meanwhile, Esther threatened Max that she would shoot her mother if she reported on her. Later, Daniel entered Max's room and she confided in him about Sister Abigail and the treehouse. Daniel agreed to retrieve the items from the treehouse, but Esther overheard him. During the night, Kate sneaked into Max's room only to have Esther turn on the lights. A tense argument begins, with Esther revealing that she had read Max's diary and attempting to manipulate her with the help of dairy. Kate takes her dairy back. The next day, Kate called the orphanage again, but once again she couldn't obtain any information. She then searched for Esther's Bible, which she found hidden inside a stuffed toy. Inside the Bible were photos of men, along with the phrase Sarn Institute. Kate conducted an online search and discovered that the institute was a mental hospital, not an orphanage. She called the number she found, learning that there were no records of Esther before she arrived in the U.S. Simultaneously, Daniel sneaked out of the house to retrieve items from the treehouse. Esther followed him and spread the evidence in gasoline, setting papers and Daniel on fire. She locked Daniel inside the burning treehouse, and he called out for his mother from the window. Kate was still investigating Esther. Kate noticed the fire and Esther's actions, leading her to rush to the scene. Daniel, crying for help, fell from the roof but survived. Esther picks a rock and is about to kill him, but Max pushes her down. Everyone was hospitalized, and the doctor informed them that Daniel had a severe neck injury that might result in memory loss. Esther was deeply concerned about this development. Kate shared her discoveries about Esther with John, but he remained unconvinced. While they argued, Esther entered Daniel's room. Max, aware of what was happening, followed her. Esther attempted to kill Daniel with a pillow, prompting Max to alert her parents. The alarms in Daniel's room went off, and the doctors revived him at the last minute. Kate confronted Esther, slapping her. In between, her phone rings many times. Kate awoke later, immediately inquiring about Daniel. She pleaded with John not to allow Esther near Max, who was spending the night in the hospital. That night, Max removed her hearing aid and her father hugged her in. Esther entered the room and took the hearing aid when Max wished her good night and kissed her. John went downstairs and began drinking heavily. Esther, dressed like an adult, joined him and attempted to seduce him with a kiss, but he recoiled. John explained that he didn't love her in the same way that he loved Kate. John instructs Esther to go to her room, but she argues and insists that he shouldn't speak to her as if she is a small child. He informed her that he would be contacting the orphanage the following day about her. Esther, however, went to her room and cried. Meanwhile, Kate received a call from a doctor at the Sarn Institute who recognized Esther. The doctor urgently advised her to evacuate her family from the house and call the police. Shockingly, he revealed that Esther was not a little girl but an adult woman with a hormone disorder that made her appear childlike. In spite, she is a fully grown lady. He also tells Esther had been one of the most violent patients at the mental hospital, and the doctor explained that her fights with restraints had left scars on her hands and neck. Furthermore, the doctor disclosed that Esther had killed at least 7 people, especially all are men. In a hurry, Kate rushed home, befuddled by how Esther had managed to make a fool of them all. Back at the house, Esther trashed her room and removed her makeup, which she used to conceal her true age. John, concerned, went to check on her and discovered her paintings covering the walls in some kind of glow-in-the-dark paint. As Kate was driving home, she attempted to call John, but the power in the house went out before he could answer. She immediately called the police. John, finding a light source, began searching the house. Esther, however, attacked him and continued stabbing him until he surrendered to death. Max witnessed the deadly scene and became Esther's next target. Kate, speeding toward the house, crashed into it and then rushed upstairs. She found John's lifeless body and realized that Max was in danger. As she searched for her daughter, she checked Max's room and the bath. Suddenly, Esther shot Kate, but she managed to hide on her bedroom balcony. Esther failed to locate her there because Kate was hiding outside of the window. Max hid in the garden and Esther walked towards her. Kate observed the situation from the glass roof and witnessed Esther firing at Max eventually escaped, and Kate broke the glass roof to enter. As she fell inside, she stumbled upon Esther. Moments later, Max pushes Kate in grief but later finds Kate to be alive. Kate took the gun and picked up Max, leaving Esther behind on the ground. They exited the house and ventured into the forest. The police arrived and entered the house, but Esther was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, she emerged and chased Kate and Max with a knife in the dark woods. They ended up on the frozen lake, engaged in a life-and death struggle with Esther relentlessly killing Kate. Max seized the gun and fired, shattering the ice. Both Esther and Kate fell into the freezing water and fought. Eventually Kate punches Esther. As Kate crawled toward the edge, Esther begged not to be left to die, but Kate kicked her back into the freezing waters, ultimately ending her life. Subscribe to Universal Recaps and turn on notifications for regular updates. Give a thumbs up if you like our content.